here we go as we wrap up Let's Chat for this Tuesday morning. Get to spend a few minutes with our friends C. Mark and John Mark from Warren and Griffin. Gentlemen, good
morning, my brother. How are you?
Ain't
it good to be alive and be in cold Tennessee?
Boy, it is cold. Leading into our first topic of the day, at least with you guys. Obviously, a lot of people driving this weekend, not just here, but across the country, in snow, in sleet, and ice. What is your advice?
Well, number one, my advice for driving in ice is to not drive in ice. Okay, I mean, stay home.
You can avoid it, stay
out
home.
of the car.
Absolutely.
You know, because when you get in ice, driving in ice, you have to be careful with, obviously, your speed. You have to keep further distance behind somebody, your turns, your braking. I mean, how many times have you been behind somebody and they try to take a hill a little bit too quickly and they start fishtailing? I mean, just nice, steady.
Extra distance is key. You know, when you drive these conditions, reduce speed drastically.
And four-wheel drive.
Brake slowly.
Four-wheel drive does not help.
Stay
not nice. Not nice, you know. And, you know, our young drivers really don't know what they don't know about driving in ice. And I think it's a good opportunity for parents, if you have a young driver that's never driven on ice before, to take them out in the parking lot maybe, or maybe the route that they would take to school, as co-pilot, to kind of give them an idea about this is how you drive an ice.
If you can do it safely, it's a teaching moment. But you know, certainly if you can't do it safely, you need to stay off the road.
And with ice, you have a lot of wrecks.
Yes,
lots of wrecks, and there's just so many cops out there, and you're more likely to have a wreck that's not going to be investigated by law enforcement on an icy day.
Fun fact: when it comes to wrecks and driving on ice, you won't be in it if you ain't out in it.
Right? Exactly.
What happens if you are driving and you do get into a moderate to serious accident under icy conditions?
We have to remember in Chattanooga that the police are only going to show up if the vehicles are not movable or if there's an injury. Okay, and when we're driving in these icy conditions, I mean, there can be a lot of small fender benders that people are going to, you know, leave the scene, which they can do if there's no injuries. But there's some steps you need to take. You need to make certain that you're not injured. You make certain the other driver's not injured. Exchange the insurance information. If you can, take photographs. If you can do it safely, photographs of where the accident occurred, you know, as the vehicle sit. And take a photograph of the license tag of the vehicle.
How do you know if you're not injured? A lot of times you're in wrecks, you don't have symptoms that show up for 3 or 4 days.
You are spot on. And that's the problem with the current system that we have in Chattanooga, is that you really don't know if you're injured until your adrenaline calms down, you settle down. Usually it's the next morning you feel the effects of an injury. So, you know, that's when you call a lawyer, a local lawyer. More 5-star reviews. Who would that be? Bigger is better. You know, you call the largest injury firm in Chattanooga, me and John Mark, because you're exactly right. We average over 100 wrecks every day in Chattanooga. 100 wrecks every day, and a lot of those are not investigated by law enforcement because they don't have to anymore. And so, you know, so what do you do when you're involved in a wreck that's not investigated by law enforcement and you don't have the other parties' insurance information? Or they said, I'm not going to share my insurance with you because you know what? Ice made me wreck. It was not my fault. It was ice's fault. You know, and ice is not a defense to a car wreck. You know, if you slide on ice and you hit somebody, you're still responsible as if the pavement was bone dry.
So it is important to get that information and share that information with the other driver. And if you get any blowback, if you don't think you're injured, if you get any blowback, the police will come to the scene if one of the parties in the crash is not being cooperative. Now, it's a different story if you're injured. You know, if you need assistance, the police are going to be there. If you need an ambulance, they're going to call an ambulance to be there. So if you're injured, make certain when you make that phone call that you tell them their injuries.
And if the person gets in the car and starts driving off, take a shot of that license tag. That is all we need to run them down.
I was going to ask, what do you do if the other driver's antagonistic or very angry at you?
Well, you know, first off,
if you fear for your safety,
that's when you call 911. I mean, that's when you tell 911, you know, this other driver, I'm fearing for my safety because they're being arrogant, boisterous. You know, they're denying. They will not show me the insurance card. They will not show me their driver's license.
And that's when the police, even if there are not injuries, so to speak, or even if the cars are movable, if the other side's being uncooperative, the police will come to the scene.
Let the police address it.
Let them know.
Let the police address it.
Let them address it. Absolutely.
Let's brag on you guys here for a moment. Bigger is better. We're starting to see this pop up everywhere. Exactly what is bigger is better?
We have the largest injury firm in Chattanooga. We have 2 receptionists. Some firms don't even have 1 receptionist. You get a phone tree, and I cannot stand phone trees. We have 2 receptionists. Do you know why we have 2 receptionists? Because those receptionists' job is to get that person to a lawyer.
Right.
They talk to a lawyer the first phone call. They talk to a lawyer.
Absolutely.
We don't use case managers like big national firms do. We use legally trained paralegals. And guess how many paralegals? And the paralegals are the backbone of any injury law firm.
Sure.
They do all the heavy lifting. They get the medical records. They confirm insurance. They move files.
How many do you have?
We have 3 paralegals per lawyer.
Wow.
You know, and we have 10 lawyers.
That's a bunch.
So to do the math on that,
That'd be
so
30.
So
We
speed.
have
In
just
most cases in Cleveland and in Dolphin, too.
Check them out. Warren and Griffin.
Bigger's better, baby. Bigger better. 5 high, man. Bigger better. Woo!